always going to be all about the fundamentals. So that's basically how we get to the highest level, is we just work in those fundamentals, like basically to an infinite level.
Mm-hmm.
So
For,
there's nothing
for me,
fancy really. It's just basic knowledge applied
yeah,
to the situation.
yeah, for me, the thing is that if I lose games because I'm making mistakes, that that's fine. And in this game, I know I make some mistakes, but the problem for me comes when I'm playing several games and I feel like I'm actually playing quite decent, and we still lose. And it's like we have 2, 3 losing lanes. I'm thinking what I am doing wrong that my lanes are losing. Like what is that I am missing? Because I cannot be everywhere all the time. But I feel that there is something in my fundamentals that I'm actually missing or just not understanding correctly. So that's why I wanted to have this external view that someone can actually say, you're actually in the wrong place here, or you actually should be spending more time here. So that's what I'm after, because when I do my own review, I do see some mistakes, or when I'm playing, it's like, okay, that was a really silly mistake. This was very risky. It was never going to happen. But it's just the general thing that I feel I'm missing something. So
Yep.
I hope we can get it from this game.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, definitely there are also games where there's less no way for you to win. Like it just has to be like, so you have to play so much higher compared to your actual skill level to be able to win that game. So how I deal with those kind of games where you just kind of lose because of your lanes or something like that, this is kind of like brush them off. Like don't focus too much on that, because end of the day. Like when you play, for example, 300 games, end of the day, it's all about you. It's not like anymore up to your laners. The individual game can be up to your laners, but like overall, like you overall career is based on your performance.
Yeah, I agree. That's why after 300 games, I'm wondering what I'm doing so wrong that I cannot climb, when I feel that at least in, let's say, 75% of the games I'm playing decent. Of course, I'm making obvious mistake, but what are the mistakes that are not obvious? So really looking forward to this.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm just talking about the OpenGG here. Yeah, you are a Diana main. That's great.
Yeah, mostly, yeah.
Yep, it's good that you're sticking to a small champion pool. I like your champion pool. You have Diana, kind of Nocturne, Viego. I think they are pretty similar in how they like to play. It's a really fundamental champions. They don't have anything fancy going on. Usually want to play for the level 6 power spike.
Mhm.
But Viego, for example, he can kind of flex his playstyle to go more towards the early game stuff. But yep,
Yep.
really good you're not kind of like playing everything all around stuff like that, because obviously we want to get at the champion mastery, especially important on jungle in my opinion, because when you have enough mastery on a champion, it makes it easier for you to focus on the map and focus on the game instead of focusing on the clearing part. So that's something you definitely see when people start like trying all the stuff. You have to focus so much more on the mechanics, and
Yeah, I
that
agree.
takes stuff away from the
Yep.
actual game.
Yeah.
But yep, obviously, if you do want to switch up your champion pool, if you do want to add a new champion, the best way to approach that is to just like get some mastery on them after you do switch up or take up a new champion. But yep, nothing wrong with LBGG. I like this. Pretty solid champion pool. Okay, so let's move on to the game. Where was it here? Okay, let's see. Do we have tab here?
So I usually start top, and I always ward the buff of the bot, because I don't know if the laners are going to be watching for it, and I really don't like when enemy jungler sneaks in and steals my buff and I don't realize. So
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, you could do that, and yeah, you swap the Oracle there, which is really good. So that's what you want to do when you drop the level 1 ward. About the level 1 ward, you could drop it a bit lighter. So when I usually drop this, I start recalling at 0.50 and drop my recall, or drop my ward at the last second of my recall. And here we have the
mhm.
tab. Yeah, but also kind of being worried about the vertical jungling here. It's usually done by champions who do go for the level 2 invades. But obviously, if you have experience with players like going for your blue buff anyway, then yep, I mean it's definitely fine. There's nothing wrong with this level 1 ward. I have nothing against it. It's a pretty good ward. But yeah, let's talk about the game here. So what do you think about the game so far when we see the matchups? So this is
Okay,
what you're
so
thinking about when the game is loading in.
yeah, so top lane, I thought it would be a, how to say, a not very aggressive lane, because both had good sustain. So I expected that one to be fairly equal. When it came to Yasuo Pantheon, I had the feeling that Yasuo would be aggressive, because they are always like this. and that Pantheon would be winning early game. After level 6, I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but I thought that Yasuo would be gankable. And the
Yep.
bottom lane, I thought it was going to be volatile because Veigar, Annie, they have a lot of CC,
Mhm.
but Veigar has a bit of a slow start, and Swain and Jinx can actually be, very dangerous, especially if Jinx gets one kill, then the next one is going to follow for sure. So that was a bit the idea I had in mind when the game was starting. Then about Nunu, I was thinking whether he was going to go tank or AP, but he had Dark Harvest, so that settled for me that he was going for sure for AP build.
Mhm. Yep. So how do you approach this jungle matchup then? What do you think Nunu wants to do in this game, for example? That's something
Level
you
2
always have to
gank.
consider.
Yeah, level 2 gank or level 3 gank for sure.
Yep.
So I think in this game in particular, I don't ping the laners because I felt that they were like safe position. But usually level 2, like Jarvan, Nunu,
Mhm.
all these kind of like early gankers, I'm really pinging that they are alive. So laners realize, like Shaq as well, they realize that he's there and that they should play a bit safe. But I think in this game was like top and both lanes were fairly safe at first. So
Yep. Yep. So the best way to actually counter these early game gankers level 2, level 3 is the wards. Exactly. So we have here level 1 ward, for example, to kind of counter the uh, invade the blue side, the vertical jungling. But what you can tell your laners is you can tell them to gank before they enter lane, for example. Pantheon can ward over here by the raptors or by the river entrance here to deny level 3 gank, and your bot lane can ward around here. So that's something you want to tell your laners to do when you are facing early game gankers. Early game gankers, tell your laners to drop wards before they enter lane. Because usually what happens is that if they do it kind of later on, that they might not even get a chance, and they go ward and
mhm.
they Nunu is already here, and it's like it's fucked. So yeah,
Yeah.
obviously as
Uh,
Diana, we kind of want to play for the level 6. We might kind of want to get for the full clear and stuff like that, and then we want to look at the map usually. But yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
One thing I also want to tell them is that if I'm dropping a ward there, I just want them to leave and go to the lane because if I'm not there, we cannot really contest a 4-man invade.
yep,
So it's something I also want to tell them. Just if they steal it, that's fine. At least I know it. I can react to it, but they should go to lane and get prio there. So.
yep. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So about the top lane matchup, for example, let's go with the matchups here. So one thing you always want to look out for when you're considering, okay, who do I want to gank, who can I gank, stuff like that, is that the top lane matchup, for example, they have double melee laners here. So that means when they go last at the minions, they kind of get messy because they just cannot resist not hitting the guys as they are like right on their face. So what usually happens in double melee matchups, they can go really heavy trading. So that's something you want to look out for.
Mhm.
Double melee.
Yeah. I also in this game I pinged that Garen had ignite. I think at around that time I don't know if it shows up. It shows up in the bot because I wanted
Yep.
Mundo to realize that Garen may actually look into.
Yeah, chase him. Level
Yeah.
1, level 2. Yep. Yep. But one thing you also have to consider when going, especially for the top lane ganks, is the way you approach this kind of TP ganks. Even if you do get the Garen, for example, you kill the Garen, the gank is not going to be as impactful because he has this cheat summoner he can use to just like get back to the lane and then like go farm
Mhm.
the minions anyway. So you don't actually deny XP and gold, which is kind of the other part of or the main part of ganking players is you get to deny them from resources. But when you do kill an early game Garen, he's going to respawn in 3 seconds and he's just going to TP back to the lane. So usually how I
Mhm.
approach these double TP lanes is I want to gank them after they already use their TP or after the game kind of progresses so they don't respawn instantly. So I actually get some
Mhm.
freedom on the map and I get to deny some XP and gold.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, so one thing you definitely want to always look out for and something you want to always think of is okay, double melee, they're probably going to trade. Double melee, they're probably going to trade. And that's basically the opposite that we have in the bot lane. So bot lane, for example, we have double or 4 range characters. So that's the opposite then. Because as these guys last hit minions, the Ares, the Veigar, and the Jinx, they are not really trading because they are so far away from each other. Because they are
Mhm.
just hitting the minion on the max range. So when you have like 4 range characters in the bot lane, for example, I wouldn't be expecting too much trading. Uh, or early game trading. Not expecting
Mhm.
much trading because again it's basically the same idea as the double melee but the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, they have really good CC setup. But one thing you always have to consider with Veigar ADC or APC is that he only gets the cage level 3. So that's when you want to look for the gank. You don't want to go for a really early gank on a Veigar lane because he actually doesn't have E, which is the main
Mhm.
CC ability of the cage.
Yep.
Straight in. But yep. So really good setup for the really good CC setup on bot lane. So yep, that's definitely something I want to look forward to. Also, since they are low mobility enemy bot lane, if you do get a flash, for example, on your first gank, it's really easy to punish it later on because again, like you have so much CC. Yeah. So about the mid lane matchup. Mid lane matchup, double melee, and this is the exact opposite to the top lane matchup. They have double ignite instead of double TP. So killing someone on the mid lane is absolutely going to be way more impactful than getting an early gank off the top lane, for example. So double melee, double ignite. These both guys usually want to look for the kill angle. They both want to kill each other basically. That's what the ignite means. So when you have double melee, double ignite, obviously a lot of trading. They have ignite, so they have a lot of kill pressure.
Yeah, plus both are usually quite aggressive. So yeah, it's
Yep. Also another thing, Pantheon has again CC setup. Pantheon CC setup. So again, we can really easily look to gank this Yasuo as well. So the main thing I want you to notice in this game, for example, based on what we talked about, is that if we get flashes of these guys on these lanes, mid to bottom,
Mhm.
they are really easy to punish.
Mhm.
Really easy to punish flashes because of great CC setup. Are you playing tank or AP Dyna, by the way?
I mix them. So
Okay.
I last games I've been playing Nashor into Yaksho or Radiant Virtue. So it depends. I'm really flexible with the builds.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I mean, one thing I would tell you is to just stick to one build. I know you have a pretty solid mastery on the champion here already, but the reason why I want you to stick to one build, kind of like the same core build every game, is because you just get so much more comfortable with all of your damage spikes and your
Mhm.
power spikes. That's the reason why I kind of want you to stick to one specific playstyle more so.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm mostly sticking now to Nashors into Radiant Virtue or Yaksho. The few times I've gone into like more offensive with the rocket belt and so on,
Yep.
it has been fine, but I don't like how squishy Diana is
Yep.
then.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Good way to counter early gankers. This is the Linus ward. I already typed it here. I'm just gonna get rid of it. But yeah, so the strength we have versus the Nunu here is obviously we clear our camps faster, and usually we want to go for the full clear anyway.
mhm.
Data has clear speed advantage, and what we want to do as Diana, we want to play for 6. And that basically goes for all of your champions. You have here Nocturne, Diana, a bit of Viego, but yeah, like the basic idea is you get 6 and then you can abuse that power spike a lot. That's
Yeah.
something we're probably going to cover later on into the video. Or later on into the VOD. What we want to do when we get level 6 is jungler who likes to power farm and play for the 6.
Mhm.
But yeah, so the main thing
Yeah.
here, we want to look for the mid and bot because really good CC and obviously mid lane has kill pressure here because of the ignite.
Mhm.
So what we want to look out for, we want to look out for overextended players because again, really easy to pull off the gank. But yep. And yeah, I like that you are starting on the top side because you want to pad bot side. That's really huge. That's what we want to do. So basically, every time we start the game, we want to start padding towards the lane we actually want to gank and not kind of look for like 3 camp and oh maybe I gank this bot. It's just not that consistent. So we always want to go for the most consistent play because again, we are the only variable in our games at 300 games to bring our career. So that's what we want to do.
Yep. Plus, I mean, ganking Garen with Mundo is just not going to happen. I don't have
Yeah,
CC
it's
myself,
really
so
hard. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not sure if he had phase rush, but especially if he has phase rush, really hard to gank. But yeah, so one thing you did have going on for the top lane is that uh, he does the flash,
Mhm.
so it makes it a
Yep.
bit easier. But yeah, out of these all lanes, you obviously don't want to gank the Mundo. So Nunu ganks starts bottom side here. Okay, okay. Let's review this again.
I missed my Q because he actually went the opposite direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
He,
one really
he
big thing for before we even go for the gank, one really big thing to always consider when you're going for this three camp gank, three camp mid gank specifically. Uh, it's not so that this play is really predictable. It's not that, but the fact is that when you play 3 camps at the start of the game, what has the enemy jungler done?
3 camps as well, so he can be on his way. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why I don't usually want to go for this gank, it has to be really fast. Like it has to be a really fast kill angle or a kill gank, because this guy is running between here. He's running between the turrets. He's like
Yep.
basically matching you identically. So that's something you always want to consider with this mid lane. 3 can beat gank.
I mean, I was not planning to do it. I was just looking, and I saw that there was a good angle there, so just
Yep,
went
definitely.
for
So
it.
this
So
is what I was talking about. Okay,
yeah.
this is really good kill angle here because again he has ignite, he has a lot of damage and CC, and he's overextended here. 3 can beat camp has to be really fast because by the time you clear 3 camps, enemy has cleared 3 camps. So at the start of the game, you are basically identically matching always the enemy jungler. So for example, what another mistake people do a lot is they go full clear, take the scuttle, and then they go mid gank. Again, the enemy jungler has also just taken the scuttle, they are really nearby. So it's not that the enemy doesn't have to go out of their way to counter gank you, they are already nearby. So the counter gank is really easy to pull off for the enemy team. So that's something you always have to consider when going for this gank. It can be really risky. So this is not something I want you to do all the time, because again, I mean, you already said it's not something you do all the time, but that's something to consider. They have really easy time. Country. Yep.
Yeah, red buff.
Yep. Actually, let's see the execution here. I kind of do like that you flashed, since again, as I said, it has to be fast. Because of the Nunu counter gank angle.
Yeah,
Let's see if you see.
No, go on.
So usually how I approach almost all of my champions, like this guy is kind of duped here anyway. When we look at this guy, as we approach the lane, so pantheon is W here. So it's really low HP. So here I wouldn't really be too worried about flashing here. How I like to play all my champions, I always have I want to be really greedy with my flash kind of, especially early game, because it just makes it so much easier for you to get kills. Because as I said again at the start of the game, it's really easy to punish enemies missing flash, and even more so if we didn't have to use our flash.
Okay. I was going to say that lately I have tried to use my flash more because sometimes it feels I'm saving it for the next game.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, but I see the point. Yeah,
yep,
it's just that he actually used very well my
yeah,
Q.
he did.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
yep. Well, good stuff. Nunu still has shown on the map, but we expect him to be clearing towards top side.
yeah, because I thought maybe he was going towards bot, but no, bot it's not gankable, so they are
Yep,
there. So
yep. Really hard to gank for Nunu. Because again, Vega is really big counter to Nunu actually because of the cage. Unless it just throws around. So this is really good. What this Jinx just did, this is really good. This is something you want to always look out for. When you're pathing towards a lane you want to gank, you can see how this guy on the minimap, if you look at the minimap right now,
yeah, she's going to ward.
yeah, she's going to ward. This is really huge. So we actually see in the map, but this is we actually see it on the screen, but you can also see this based on the map. Like, okay, the Jinx is randomly walking up here. So now we actually know that this ward is this brush
This
is
brush.
warded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
308. We want to look for enemies leaving the lane to ward. So this is really good. This is really good, and this is something you always want to look out for. Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, I ping it yeah myself. So yeah.
Mid lane dies. Expecting Nunu to be top side. About the first scuttle, I don't really care about the first scuttle.
Okay,
I'd rather always take my camp instead of taking the scuttle, unless I want to contest them. Oh, really low. Awesome. So one thing to notice here is something I always want you to think of. This is something I tell even master players. As I have coached a lot of master players recently, I always tell them the same thing. When you see the enemy jungler making a play, what does that mean to you? You have all the freedom on mid here and the bottom side here. So what I want you to look out for every time you see the enemy jungler making a play, consider your options elsewhere. You can like take immediate options elsewhere. For example, there's a gank in the bottom lane. Just start running towards bot here. For example, just hug the wall here and go gank bot. Because again, you have the amazing CC in the bot lane. It's just gonna work because again, like the Nunu is not able to counter gank you.
Yep. Yeah.
Every time you see enemy jungler making a play, Look for immediate options elsewhere.
Yeah, you cannot be everywhere at the same
Yep,
time. So
exactly. So you cannot make two plays at the same time. That's why you want to punish. And it's so much easier for us to go aggressive on the bottom side here because again, like we know, okay, there's no way this guy can be here. Yep. Let's see actually the execution again. I kind of want you to be a bit more patient with your abilities here. Just like
I
wait.
know,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I'm teaching myself to that. I need to play slow. I had seen actually some coaches that say just play slow, just wait for them to do something. Because if they flash my Q, then it's game over. But if they flash expecting my Q, then I still have my Q. It's in range, and then I can E to them. So yeah, I can
There
see
is
that.
the
Yeah,
Vega in action. Awesome. Look at the
yeah,
amazing CC we have here. Do we get it? Nah,
yep.
not quite. It's fine. Okay. Also, one more thing about this hover we had on the mid lane. Uh, we go checking the camps here. So one thing, one timer. We're probably gonna talk a bit about timers here. Uh, Chunk camp timer. The first camp they take after the buff is gonna spawn at 4 minutes 20 seconds around there. So again, every time we kind of go to invade and think about this, for example, we can go for these camps, but we know again, Nunu started on the bottom side, we started on the top side, so we can kind of mirror these camps here. When these camps spawn, these camps are gonna spawn. That's
Yeah.
something I want you to kind of use when tracking the enemy jungler or tracking their camps.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly why I went to check there. I think it's because I checked his uh, creep score and he had 20, and I was thinking maybe he has to skip Raptors for any reason.
Mm.
So, because I usually don't do this of hovering, but Yasuo players are usually so aggro that I was thinking maybe he goes with 20% health to actually push
Yep.
the wave until the tower, but he didn't. So,
Yep. So there's one thing we can also talk about here is the laner behavior and how laners want to. We can actually even talk about why Pantheon died. It's basically kind of our fault, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. That's part of the game. But one thing I'm gonna tell you about laners right now is kind of like junglers always they love the scuttle, right? We always want to scuttle. So what laners do instead, you can see even this Yasuo is really low here, but what they always do is they always when they get a kill, they always want to push out the wave. They will never leave the. They will never. I mean, basically never leave the lane before they can ensure that the wave is gonna crash. Because when the wave crash, it's gonna give them a timer to recall and come back to all and get all the CS. So for
Yep.
example here, after he gets this minion, he's just gonna leave. The gank is not gonna work because he already crashed the wave and there's no one here to help us here. So that's why this gank is bad.
Yeah, yeah,
So
it
it's
is.
we
I
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea. The idea is good, and the idea is exactly right because they will always creep for the wave. But here he actually already got in the wave, so we can actually talk about what happened with the Pantheon here when we do get the kill. So again, Pantheon does the exactly same thing. So this is what you want to punish when the enemies do it, and this is how you kind of can stop it from your laners dying for no reason. Here, he's low HP. We kill the enemy laner. What this guy's gonna do? He's like, oh, this is free. It's like he's gonna push in the wave. He's never gonna leave before he pushes in the wave. So what we want to do as junglers, we want to help them push the wave. Basically, that's how we
Yeah.
make sure that they actually get the recall time. That's probably something we're gonna talk about later on. But at this point of the game, I'm not too worried about this. Like I would just let him do whatever. I was hoping he was gonna recall, but he obviously didn't. But again, I wouldn't be too worried about this specific scenario. But that's probably something we're gonna run up later.
I just if you go then after to the gank at the bot lane when actually Nunu flashes away, I actually help Veigar push the lane,
Mm,
push the wave. It's just that I'm taking care with let's call volatile champions because sometimes I help them shove the wave. It's actually later. I really try to be very careful to not take any minions, and
mm,
they actually go and enchanter the tower.
yeah.
They
Yep.
they think I'm stealing their camp. So I'm taking care with the Yashos, Katarinas, Pantheons, and so on.
Yeah.
That I actually so I know it's silly because it's
Yeah,
silver,
I know what
but
you're talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
I definitely do remember having to go through that. Yeah.
yeah. So I just take care with that. So
Yep. Yep. But again, like the best way to kind of ensure that they are least likely to start running it down is to just don't last it a minute. Just like help them.
yeah, yeah.
But yep. He dies. So again, we can see the lineup behavior here again in action.
Yep.
So for example, what we want to look out for is when, so the way I want you to think about your lanes dying, for example, you talk about how your lanes die and stuff like that. We don't want that to happen, of course, but how I want you to approach the lanes getting solo killed is that the enemy is not, the play is not over until they actually crash the wave and recall.
Mm-hmm.
When lanes die, for either side anyway. I'm just gonna pause. When lanes die, the play isn't over when enemy is dead. Play is over when wave is crashed and whoever is recalling.
Yep.
Or in safety to recall, that's how I like to put it. It's recalling or in safety to recall. For example, the Yasuo was in safety to recall after shoving the wave here because he was so safe here
Yep.
by positioning. So basically, how I want you to always look out for when players like this die again, they will always create the wave, even when they are really low HP. So what we want to do, we want to punish the junglers. We want to kill them for creating that wave in, because again, they will always do that. That's definitely something you can look out for, and that also goes to the opposite side. Good. This is good. We see again. So this is basically what I talked about. We know the enemy jungler is making play elsewhere. We know exactly where he is. We can look out for uh, an immediate option elsewhere, which, for example, in this case, is invading. This is really good stuff here. I love it that we are not just defaulting to hitting our camps. Really good.
And
This is how we punish the enemy. Awesome.
I'm really happy that they actually removed
Yeah,
the
same.
death.
It was horrendous.
Yeah, it was so silly. Taking 2 hours to kill the Gromp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now I'm 6.
Oh, awesome. Yep. Yeah. So here we arrived to the time I was talking about. I want to be talking about with you. So there are kind of 3 level 6 timers in the game. So level 6 timers, solo laners hit level 6, usually around the 6th minute. It's going to be like a 4th cannon wave or whatever. But solo laners hit level 6 at 6 minutes. Junglers hit level 6 at 7 to 8 minutes usually. And bot lane actually hits 6, 8 to 9 minutes. So how we want to utilize this knowledge is that obviously when we get level 6, usually the bot lane isn't level 6 yet. So how we want to kind of use that information is we can go for ult gank on bot lane. We can look for immediate ult play on bot when we get 6, because again, like, these guys won't be 6, so obviously it's going to be easier time for us to gank laners who don't have their ult up yet. But obviously sometimes it kind of depends. For example, you have some support or bot lane matchup which is like really ult reliant. Obviously, then we probably want to wait for them to get 6 first. But especially when you're playing Nocturne, Viego, Diana, it's really important that we want to utilize this level 6 player. And usually, the best way to utilize level 6 play is to gank the bottom lane, because again, it's going to grant you the most gold. It's going to deny the most gold from the enemy and stuff like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And also something you want to consider when going, for example, for solo lane ganks. You're kind of like running at the enemy. It's like 7 minutes into the game, or like 6 minutes into the game. They're probably going to hit 6 really soon. So you are not going to be 6, so really be careful of that.
Yeah, it's dangerous, especially if it's some Darius that is already level 7.
Yeah, exactly.
You're level 5, it's tragic.
Very good. It's really good. The enemy top lane is dead, so we have prior to do this on the top side. And Pantheon did have ult used to get back to lane, but let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, first Herald is fine. Second Herald, I do a horrible mistake, like so silly mistake. You will see later. It was like, couldn't believe I did that.
This is really good. What I love about this is I always see players take the Herald and then they go, or take the Drake or take the Herald, and then they're like, ooh, I'll just gank mid here. Like, this is not going to work out, because the enemy is going to get a huge notification. Okay, the enemy jungler is right around here. Like, they have exact information on where you are. So that's something you don't usually want to look out for. Yep, good stuff. Again, we see Nunu. Awesome. See Nunu on the top side. Kicks mid.
Yeah, and then I see he's coming towards me.
Yep, he might be looking to dive this Mundo, for example. Okay. Fight him in the jungle. Awesome. We have Max Conqueror, good. And then we even see the Yasuo. Really good stuff here.
Yeah.
Really good game here so far. I'm impressed, honestly. Really good. Yep, and we get recall. We get Nashos. So again, we have a huge power spike. We are level 6. We have Nashos. This is for aggressive options, for example. But the bad thing or the not bad thing, but to consider here is we don't have ult. But the moment we
Mhm.
want to kind of hello, hello, can you hear me? Okay, now you
Hi
can.
again.
Okay, where did we get left off? What point of the board?
If you go a bit back, I think yeah, you were talking about the power spike that I had Nashos, but I don't have
Okay,
ulti.
so we're around here. Okay. Yeah, we
Yep,
don't
yep.
have ult. Yep. Yep. What I talked about after. Yeah, I didn't talk about anything after. I was gonna. Oh yeah. So here. So yeah, this is the big important stuff I was talking about. So here we actually. So here again, the laner behavior 101,
Mhm.
low HP mid laner. He just killed the. He just killed the old laner. What he's gonna do? He's always gonna push in the wave. That's what they always do. So
Mhm.
what I was telling here, or what I was saying here is, I would probably be looking towards pushing this Carol towards the top lane, and I could here actually hover this guy, uh, to make sure he gets the wave in, because again, like that's what they always do. They're pushing the wave. And what I was saying here is that, what was I saying here? Yeah. So basically, we could have kind of guessed that this Nunu is going to show up, because again, we killed her. We killed the Nunu on the top side.
Mhm.
This is going to reset with backcast onto the map. So we are at the, again, like we are kind of identically matching the enemy jungler. Kind of at the start of the game, we had the same thing going on. So here is a moment where I would be looking towards to hovering my laner here actually, to make sure they
So
don't die.
okay, so protecting the laner there instead of actually going to bot. Okay, okay. Yes, these are exactly the things I'm looking for. Yeah, that's something I had not thought, because if I have help with the gun, for me it makes sense. I can help shove the wave and so on. But if I'm not exactly there, I wouldn't have thought about, okay, actually I should go there to protect him until he can actually back. So yeah, that's okay. That's really good.
Yep.
That's really good.
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying here, that we are making a choice to, okay, we are going to just sacrifice this pantheon, and then we're going to go for the bot play. But basically, what
Mhm.
ends up happening, the worst case scenario is that, okay, we don't even get the bot gank off, and now it's a sacrifice pantheon for nothing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
So the reason why I want to hold this guy and like hover this guy and help him, because again, like it's really likely that the Nuno is gonna show up because he's solo HP. He's such a free gank. Nuno is just gonna roll with the W here. And the other thing is because uh, we don't want to let the enemy jungler get away with free ganks. That's like the biggest part. We don't want the enemy to get free stuff. Obviously, that's really horrendous. For example, Hecarim does full clear towards bottom, gets double kill on bottom lane. Like it's so sad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what we want to do as junglers, we want to be able to deny the really easy and obvious stuff. So this is, for example, one of those things. Really low HP target, he's gonna always push away because again, laner behavior 101, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's yeah. That's exactly the things I don't know what I don't know, and that's something I wouldn't have thought about doing.
Yep.
When I have helped the gang, yeah, but not actually going there to protect them until they have managed to back. So yeah,
Yep.
that's good.
Yeah, so that's basically what I talked about earlier. So
Mm-hmm.
the play isn't over when the enemy laner is dead. The play is over when your laner is recalling or in safety to do so. And
Mm-hmm.
again, what they do before that happens, they push the wave.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's
So let's
good.
talk about the Herald. What do you think of the Herald here?
Uh, I have an issue with the heralds that when it starts to go, if you go just before I drop it, uh, so I can see the timer. I think the timer started to be a bit on the. This is not a good herald because I don't have any way to actually push more
Mm.
because the Yasuo's there. I can, but when it's about a third remaining, I start to feel stressed because if I die, then I'm not going to have a chance to drop it, and it's wasted. So it's kind of like a low reward, but it's not a good herald. That's how it is. Yeah, like my understanding is that you want to use herald when you can actually push to even maybe take the full tower or push a few plates. This is basically a waste because it's one plate. So that's my belief. So, but
Yeah. So
probably I'm
basically,
yeah
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, the one really big thing here is that Herald actually got nerfed for this season. It's no longer guaranteed 2 plates, which is what
Mhm,
last season. So how you want to use Herald this patch or this season is that so first of all we want to drop it as low as possible. We want to drop Herald on a turret as low as possible. So what
mhm,
happens with turret and with plating? So this only applies to plated turrets. So turrets with plating, so pre 40 minutes. Uh, the more plates you take, the more resistances the turret is gonna get. So for example, we can look at the resistances on the turret right here, 15, and
mhm,
then we're gonna hit it. We're gonna hit the plate. It's already 55 more. It's like
mhm,
40 more uh, resistances. So obviously that makes it much harder for us as the champion to hit down the turret and get the plates. But the Herald actually does true damage. So Herald doesn't give a fuck about the turret health or the turret resistance because it actually deals true damage with the charge, which is around 1.75 plates.
mhm,
So another thing here to know is that basically last season we had an idea that okay we can drop the Herald and we get guaranteed 2 plates. We can use that money to kind of like get a mythic or whatever. But that's
mhm.
obviously gone because that's the 2 plates isn't guaranteed anymore. So we actually only get 1 plate. So basically we want to drop it as low as possible, or after ganks when we can actually have laners there pushing the turret. But yep, here
Yeah,
we kind of forgot about the Yasuo's gonna show up here and stuff like that. Also another thing to notice with the Herald play, uh, plates drop at 40 minutes. We are not in a hurry to use it, and this is kind of like a sloppy, really sloppy Herald. We're just not getting value out of the Herald here.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So as I was talking about, we want to drop Herald turret as slow as possible. So how I usually drop it when I'm already hitting the turret, when I'm already hitting turret, I drop it at 2.5 plates. So that kind of
Mhm,
gives me time to finish hitting the turret, and then the charge is going to come through because the charge takes 10 seconds from spawning to go through here.
mhm.
So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah. Plus,
Um,
Diana with Nashor actually has decent
yeah. Yep.
turret damage. So yeah,
Yep.
it's about Herald. It's about Herald. Yeah, like that's what it is.
Yep. And also the plates drop at 40 minutes. Uh, Not in a immediate hurry to use it. So when you kind of do want to drop the mid lane Herald here is when it's really running out.
Mhm,
For the military, or when you feel like okay, there's probably not going to be a better time for me to actually get this Herald off, but here it's not even going to run out yet. And the important thing here is we have flash, we have ult, we can look for the bot play here when these guys come back, and then we can use the Herald, for example, on this turret. Again, so we
mhm.
kind of have to think about further ahead. And again, what I want you to do when you have flash, when you have ult, when you have ahead, I want to kill the bot lane because again, bot lane gives me the most gold. That's why I want to do it. And then we can
Yeah,
use the Herald, and then we can get even more gold. Stuff like that.
yep.
Use Herald here. Yeah, so those are kind of the bad things here. And the other thing is that Yasuo died a while ago. He's gonna be able to come back. He's coming back to defend the turret. So yeah, that's the other thing. Obviously the Nunu couldn't be here because he was so low HP, but the Yasuo actually comes back here. So that's another thing we kind of missed in this
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this play.
And I have no. Actually, I'm at risk of dying here because he had ulted me there, and I'm fairly sure I don't beat him one on one. So yeah, it was a bad play.
I think you do, but yep. If Nunu was there, for example, then you would probably die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yasuo isn't that strong compared to you. I mean, you have ult, you have smite. You're basically the same level as Solo now. Like it's we are really ahead in this game. Mm. So this is one thing to consider about this play here. So we make the play, we get the Raptors. So this would be a good time to, for example, to start recalling for the Drake here. Basically, I'm not sure what you're looking toward getting with this. So this would have been
Greedy.
this would have been
Yeah.
a really good recall because again we want to be on the map before the objective actually spawns, so the enemy doesn't have a chance to kind of go grab it. And this becomes especially important later on in the game when people start going for the objectives on spawn.
Mhm.
But yep,
It was just greedy for the camp. It's a waste of time. Waste like 40 seconds to get what 100 gold. Yeah, it's yeah.
yep. But this is usually a good habit if you're thinking about taking the Herald or the Dragon here. Just like beat every time.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, we get boots. Good. Yeah, but now we are really strong. Now we can look for the bot play. We have all these ults available. I want to use them. I want to delete people before we fight for the Drake. Okay, hits from Sova.
Yeah, I didn't like this play.
Yeah, the
I didn't
play's
like
kind
how
of
the
all over the place.
yeah.
So
So
basically, the way you can approach this kind of situation is we have kind of two options here. We can either hard force this brush here, or we can bait with the dragon and kind of come over here and just wait for the CC to come through. Because again, we have so much CC, but we have to be able to connect all that CC.
yeah.
Another thing here is I wouldn't be showing on the just like walking out of the brush here. Because one thing, this is a really good position to be in. Because again, like we have to think about what the enemy jungle wants to do. They're playing Nunu. They want to get objectives because that's what Nunus do. And what people want to do before they get the Drake, they want to gank bottom lane. Obviously, to make sure that they are not coming back to the Drake and bite them in the ass. You know. So again,
Yep.
this is a really good position to be in because the enemy team is probably going to come here, and then we can look to fight them, and then we can counter gank them. They actually end up showing that we kind of show our hand, and now the place is there. But the other places goes all over the place here. The pantheon goes all over the wall, and he's kind of going wherever. Vega is going wherever. Yeah, I mean in these kind of situations, you really have to stick with your team. So a really important thing for team fighting is that uh, we want to hit the target our team's able to hit. That's really important for team fighting. And especially for Diana, you know, like for example, you go here and let's say you flash all these chinks here, no one is able to help you. So you have to make sure you actually do one shot them, and the enemy is not able to one shot you in exchange. So that's something you want to consider. For example, as Diana, you usually want to get for the team fight ult, you want to go for the big ult stuff like that. So we have to look out for that, and in order to be able to do that, we have to stick with our team. But yeah, I mean the play is kind of over here. I mean it just went all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I used to do in the past was I would have gone in there anyways, but now I'm trying to play a bit safer because sometimes just not worth it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, but I mean, this is really unlikely to be turned around. Yeah, your team just kind of got caught there. Yep, this is really good. So here we are playing with the fog. They don't actually see us out here at all. But again, kind of sloppy with the keys. Just like
yeah,
be more relaxed. Kind of be more
yeah.
patient. Patience is so fucking important. Actually, I reviewed a Diamond One Diana earlier. I'm not sure if you have watched it, but you can watch that review as well. We talked a lot about patience with the champion. It's just so
Okay.
fucking important with this champion. You have to be patient.
It's in the channel, yeah, in the
Yep.
complete sessions. Okay, yeah, definitely going to look that, yeah.
Yeah, I can link. I can tag you into that. I think it's pretty up here.
I will find it. It's at the beginning. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
good
good.
at
I
the
will find
beginning.
it. Yeah,
All right.
yep, all good. Yeah.
I actually had another review with him as well. I think yesterday or the day before.
Hmm.
So you can also watch the other reviews if you want to. Yep, he's a
Yep.
dynamite at master level, and we talked a lot about kind of the same things we talk about here. That's the funny thing. I review people from all across the elos, and we always end up talking about the same stuff. It's usually
Yeah.
trading plays. Whenever he makes a play, we have freedom to do stuff and stuff like that. Yep.
Okay, but
How's
so
go
so
ahead.
far, so that this is basically the transition into mid game.
Yep.
What are the things that you actually see that okay, this is really incorrect, or the things that definitely need to improve? Like example, assisting or bodyguarding the laners that are going to back. That's one thing I've noted. Herald has to be better, but overall, the impression of the early game is decent, I think.
Yeah, I mean the decision making in the early game has been really good so far, but this is the moment when people start falling apart
Yeah.
a lot. But also, yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about. Okay, I need to find like stuff what I do wrong because this game has been really good so far. We have been making really solid decisions. So what I want you to do, I want you to look to create ways to actually replicate this. For example, the mid gank. We probably don't want to go for the level 3 unless it's a really fast option or stuff like,
Hmm.
okay, in the future, in my future games, I can look out for the low HP pattern who just solo kill the Yasuo and I can go protect them. Stuff like
Hmm.
that. Because
Yep.
you can still improve by watching victory games and reviewing victory games. That's
Yep.
just as
Yep.
important as like making mistakes. But so far, really good. But yep, so this is the moment when people start kind of getting confused. They just go for the ARAMs and stuff like that. So the most important thing at this part of the game, again, we want to play around the objective. That's like the main thing. So play around objective timers is really important at mid game because uh, the lane the lane assignments kind of get screwed. People just start playing for the objectives here at this time around.
Hmm.
The mid game mid game and Baron spawn. People start neglecting lanes to come for the objectives. So how we want to utilize that for ourselves is, for example, when we are behind, we can use that knowledge. Okay, the herald is spawning. The enemy team is probably going to come there and like fight for us,
Hmm.
fight us there. So basically, if we are really behind, for example, we don't want to do that. So what we can do, for example, instead is we can go and pressure the other side of the map again, like make plays elsewhere where the enemy team isn't.
Yeah, for me, it's very clear that if I feel we cannot contest an objective, I just go to the other side of the map, which I think that at this elo people don't understand. They have this
Yeah,
mentality
definitely
that,
not. Yeah.
actually, one thing I've been talking with my friend who's same rank as me is that he feels that if four people make the wrong decision, then it's actually the correct decision in a way. It's, in a sense that if four people want to contest the dragon, when I feel it's a bad idea, I should probably still be there because the chances are that if it's 5 versus 5, we can still do it even if behind. But it's contextual. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm trying to if I don't feel it, I don't go for it, and I ping them away and so on. I
yep,
cannot control what they do, but I just go farm or counter jungle or whatever. So
yeah. Yep, I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely, yeah, and people kind of get hell-bound on the objectives, especially in this elo.
mhm.
They're like, oh, the objective is spawning, we have to go. So yeah, you obviously do want to kind of stick with your team. So there's a chance that the enemies misplay really horrendously, for example. Then you can go for the play. But for example,
Yeah,
if there is a way for you to kind of danger ping them and they do give up the objective, for example, then we can look for other options.
yeah. And here's
So
where I
if
mess up.
yeah,
I thought Garen was in the brush, and I give up 500 gold shot down as well. And I had the thing to keep vision, so it was just terrible. I wanted to surprise the Nunu, kill him fast because I thought it was going to be 1-on-1. But the Garen, I thought he was going to be, waiting for the moon in the brush. I didn't. It was very silly to me to expect that he actually was not going there. So because, yeah, so
okay,
double big mistake because I give the shutdown, I give free herald, and I have the vision. So yeah, and
yeah,
the laners are far away, and the Yasuo's also missing at this point. So yeah, it's
yeah. Actually, both of the solo lanes go missing. So this is
yeah.
so the way I want you to think about every time you enter river, let it be alone like the first scuttle, for example, or an objective. Every time you enter river, I want you to think about it. Okay, entering river is always an aggressive play.
Mhm.
And every time you make an aggressive play, you want to think about, okay, if I do find someone there, because the river is the most likely place for you to find enemies, unless you go to the side of the jungle, for example. So
Mhm.
if you do find someone, if you find someone, is anyone able to help you? That's something you always have to ask yourself when you go for this play. When you just blast going over and like these guys are not able to help you. If you do
Yeah.
find people here and we actually even know the Nuno is here, and the thing is, okay, this guy's missing, this guy's missing. Again, like it's just not likely for us to not find anyone here.
No, it was a bad play,
Yep.
and Pantheon didn't have ulti as well, so it was just
Yep.
I just thought I could get it quickly 1-on-1. Yeah, just bad play, shut down two. So
Yep. Now his team is kind of trying to pick up, but yeah. So
it's they actually I basically dragged them with me,
yeah.
and so it's
Yeah,
total disaster.
yeah. So
Total
this is
disaster.
yeah. So this is what we call baiting in the
Yeah.
jungle role. We kind of go for the bait play, and we bet our team to do that. But
Yeah.
the way you could approach this situation here is the way I want to approach this situation. I don't want to use the blast gun. I want to reconnect with one of my laners and walk down with them. So we kind of
Mhm.
play protect the president kind of thing. We want to escort the laners to the objective if they are not able to do so. For example, what you could do here, we see the Nunu walking over here. What we could do, we could again go and help this mid lane push, so they can actually walk up with us to the river, and then we could meet up with the Mundo or whatever stuff like that. But this is like
Mhm.
we are going for such a solo play here by doing this. Like this is so risky, and for
Yeah.
yeah,
It
when
was.
obviously when we do have bounty, we don't want to go for the insane risky plays because again like yeah. And we don't actually give 450 gold, we give 450 plus the base gold of 300 gold. So this is actually
Yeah.
750 gold.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's this kind of really aggressive plays on not what I usually do,
Okay.
but I felt I just could do it, but it was just
Yeah.
horrible decision. So yeah.
Yep, I mean, obviously it's good that you limit test. That's really important. Limit testing is
Mhm.
really important because then again, you know when you can do something and you know when you can't. So in the
Yeah.
future, you know you cannot do that. But again, like the telltale signs, or the signs telling you can't do this. Enemy lane is missing. Our our laners are not able to come and help you.
Mhm.
Not come and able to help. So again, like what I would do, uh, better way to approach. So basically the same as we talked about with the dragon fight here. We want to be with our team. So the best way to be with our team is to walk with them. Better way to
Mhm.
approach the objective, go to a laner and walk with them. If you do want to contest, for example.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep, and losing it, whatever. Okay, but the resulting, yeah. We have ult soon, let's see. Oi, okay,
Yeah.
it's a
I
bit of a disaster.
when the Pantheon ulti didn't land on them, I should have called it off.
Yeah, probably yeah. Yep. So this again, this is what we call compensating on the jungle. So this is kind of the opposite of hating. So some play goes bad, let it be for us or for the enemy. Then we compensate that we go for like a Hail Mary play here. It's just not
Mhm.
necessary at all. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I like the idea. Maybe if we were like really far ahead, maybe we could do that. Maybe if we were playing like an assassin Diana here, maybe we
Yeah.
could do
Plus
that. But
Nunu
again,
was
like
there.
yeah. The biggest thing to notice here is that yeah, I mean obviously the play goes bad because Pantheon has hit it. But one more important thing here is again like as we recognize the start of the game, I still want to play for the bot lane here. We
Mhm.
actually haven't ganked bot lane I think only once this game. So
Yep.
again, like that's something we want to punish. We have this really strong CC here, and we have a really strong champion to hit immobile champions. So these guys are the solo laners. These are like the stronger members of the team. The solo laners are always stronger. So when we are doing jungler plus solo laner versus two solo laners, it's like kind of by default a bad position to be in because the
Mhm.
solo laners are
Yep.
the strongest members. So that's something to consider as well. Yeah, they actually didn't take that route. So here we are actually on time for the objective here, which is really good. So again, Nuno makes a play here. What I would also again like look out for, maybe I can do a bot play. But again, want the ult first. So really important stuff. We get the ult. But again, like every time the enemy jungler makes a play, they're gonna be making two plays at the same time. I want to punish that.
Yep.
Also, as we talked about with the last time, what people have to do is they want to kill the bot lane before going for Drake because obviously it makes the Drake fight a lot easier. Yep, we're going for the bot play here. Our bot actually smurfs it to kill some. Good. So let's Pantheon meanwhile. I like this. I like this a lot. So the reason why I like this is that So basically, as I talked about earlier, oh, we have no prior on the mid lane, we cannot do this. But the one good thing is that these guys are already dead. So what we want to do every time we have someone on the dead on the map, we want to utilize their dead timers. We want to make money while they are dead. So this is really good. We are
Mhm.
pushing into the jungle. Our laners are moving with us. This is pretty safe play to do, especially since this guy's so low HP. Then we can maybe even bait this Yasuo to go in. Maybe we can kill him as well. Let's see exactly what happens. Awesome, this is really good. Now the bot lane is coming back. Yeah, exactly. This is so good. This is so good. So we get some members of the map again. We utilize the dead timers. Now they're like really staggered. The team is really staggered. They cannot come and contest this. This is really good. Awesome stuff. We are moving with the bot lane. I like this. I like this a lot. So the good thing to notice here is that we are utilizing the dead timer of the enemy because the
Mhm.
bot lane is not able to be here at all. So we can actually go for the numbers advantage fight, which is really important in league. Basically, the way to make a fight fair. Or let's say general philosophy for league. We always want to uh, take the unfair fight, and the best way
Mhm.
to make a fair or a fight unfair is by having more numbers. So,
Yep.
yep, when we have 3v2, it's way easier to do it than 2v2 or stuff like that. So that's something you always have to think about. Okay, how do I get the most unfair fight? How do I create the most unfair scenario? And obviously, we don't want to be the ones on the receiving end. Yep,
Yep.
really
That's
good.
that's why I like Nocturne so much because you can really get a
Yeah,
pick before
exactly.
objective.
Yep, exactly. He's really good at creating those fights because he can just like gank so fast from out of
Mhm.
vision. Yep, now Baron is starting to spawn. Really good. But yep, overall the mid game has been really good here. Basically, the most important thing to think about in this mid game scenario is, uh, for example, this moment where the objectives are not up. So the way
Mhm.
you want to think about this part of the game, uh, when you have sums, when you have flash, you have all this stuff. You want to use it in a way that grants you the objective. So, for example, let's
Mhm.
say this dragon was like 90 seconds away. We shouldn't be using our flash and ult on the chinks here, for example, because we are actually not going to be able to get anything with our flash and ult. So one
Mhm.
really important thing to think about with the mid game is that, okay, when I do use my abilities, when I do make a play, I need it to be impactful. I need to be able to get something out of using my stuff. For example, here it's really good because again, we get the bot prior, the dragon is up. We could just go take the Drake, but we do go for the invade here, which is really good for us anyway. But yeah, so that's another thing people really easily fall kind of into. So basically, you don't want to go ARAM. You don't want to take fights when you don't get anything out of it. So what I do in kind of those situations when there's nothing for me to gain by fighting, I just hit my camps. I just get more CS, get more money.
So
So,
the
yep.
no, I mean that's the philosophy I do, but the problem I find that this elo is that teammates are not going to be they're going to be engaging in random team fights, and that's where I think that I don't know if it happens in this game, but that's a common trend. So this game here, it's fairly kind of common a scenario that this is how my decent games go.
Mhm.
But then it's this transition here that I start to have this big disconnect from my teammates, and I think that's when things start to go wrong. So.
Yep. So basically, the way I think about the mid game scenario when your team is like ARAMing and fighting, and so the way I kind of turn the table. So again, I think about, okay, if the enemy team does kill my team here, do they get the objective? Do they get the Baron? Do they get the Drake? If not, I don't give a fuck. I usually just
Mhm.
like hit my camps, get more money because again, like as we are playing carry picks, carry junglers, always want more money. That's
Mhm.
like the basic idea. We always want to generate as much gold as possible, and the way to do it uh, is by hitting our camps. And
Yeah.
when you it, uh, let's say a moment when the objective is like 30 seconds from spawning and your team's like stacking in mid, that's when you do want to go with your team because again, like
Mhm.
if your team dies there, the enemy is gonna get so much objectives and they're just gonna get ahead a lot.
Mhm. Yeah. Makes sense.
So that's basically how I approach that situation when your team is kind of like, oh, we want to fight, but there's nothing to fight for. It's really bad to kind of fight uh, for no
Nothing
reason,
actually.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
fight for the sake of fighting. That's really bad. Yeah. But yep. So here, looking for pick. Again,
I
this
didn't
would be
have.
a really good idea to use your ult here because again, like if you do get the numbers here, again, it's gonna make the fight a lot easier around the Baron. So I like
I didn't
this.
have the. I didn't have the E up, so that's why.
Yep. So team is fighting here. Awesome.
Yeah, against Nuno, I like to save my ulti for his ulti,
Yep,
so it
really good.
doesn't. Yeah, so it doesn't deal 300 million damage.
Yep, exactly. Yep, so here our Nunu, our Pantheon are really, really low. We can't really take the Baron here. They are way too low to be able to help us with the Baron. So yep. So again, this is really good what we are doing because there's nothing for us to do here. There's nothing for us to do here on the map because our team is resetting. So again, this is really good. We are making money. This is really good. This is awesome. This is what I want you to do on carry picks. This is really good. But once your team starts running out of base, this is when I want to be in sync with my team.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, especially on Baron play, do we get Baron this game?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Yeah. But especially with Baron, it's really important at this part of the game, mid to late game, really important to sync with your team, to be in sync with your teams. That means sometimes you have to kind of not take the one camp or whatever, because again, like we don't want to be staggered from our team, like the enemy team was at the dragon play. We don't want to be that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be those guys. So the way to fix that is to kind of recall with your team and be on the map at the same time as a team. For example, here your entire team is ready to fight here, but we actually haven't based yet. So we are actually the one staggering our team here. We are kind of delaying
Mm-hmm.
the ability to fight here by going for this push.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the thing. I feel like at this point of the game, I'm really disconnected from because here there is Baron to fight, but um, I don't feel either team can really get it for free. It's so equal that anyone who's taking the Baron, if you get attacked, you're going to lose it. So and yeah, it's this disconnect that I'm actually suffering quite often, and that's one of the things I really want to improve. It's like how do I just sync with them? So.
Yep. So there's a really good situation here we talk about. So here, for example, before we went for this farm here, so we do get the kill. We don't get to translate that into anything. But like the really important thing to notice here is that okay, these guys are really low HP. They need to
Mhm.
recall. So again, like this is really good use of our like kind of downtime. There's nothing to fight for right now because there is no fight because everyone is resetting or dead or whatever. So this is
Mhm.
really good. But what I would like you to do again, like look for your teammates going in the base, and then I want to recall with my team so I can be in sync. I have spent my gold, they have spent their gold. Okay, we are ready to go. That's basically the
Mhm.
way to play. Because for example, if you look at gold leads or stuff like that, people always look at the gold. Like, oh, we were 10k gold ahead. But like, it's not really 10k gold ahead if one of your teammates has like 2k gold in the pocket, and someone else as well, like stuff like that. So the best way to
Mhm.
kind of like be ready to fight with the team is to recall with them and get out of base with them. So you're actually ready to impact the map with them.
Yeah,
But yeah, so
makes sense.
the one thing about the Baron play here is that it's really easy for the enemy team to just go take Baron here when you're shown in the bottom lane as a jungler. Like
Mhm.
there's no jungler to face here. They could just like literally just walk here and take the Baron, and that would just be kind of like game over for us.
Yep, yeah.
So something you
Plus,
really want
yeah.
to avoid at like after Baron spawn, after Baron spawn, you have to be really careful of being bot side.
Mhm.
You have to be really careful of being bot side as jungler.
Yep, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives enemy team so much more freedom to take the Baron.
Mhm.
Like they're already walking here. Like I would be really, I would be scared shitless if I was you here. Like, oh shit, I just lost the Baron by being here. But yeah, they actually don't do it anyway. So
But at any higher elo, this
yeah,
Baron is
exactly.
gone.
Yeah,
This Baron is insta
like
gone. Yeah, yeah.
when they see you here, they're like, oh shit, the enemy jungler is bot. What the fuck? Let's go take Baron.
Mhm.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. I mean, they are all over the place as well, so they cannot take it. But yeah, it's
Yep.
yeah, quite bad mistake. Yeah.
Yep.
I have another account that it's higher elo, not much. It's called 4.
Mhm.
Um, and I get mistakes punished there so harshly. It's actually quite humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So,
definitely people do. I mean, the higher you go, always people are gonna punish you harder and more.
yep.
So yeah. So here we can see a really big issue with this that we are still haven't recalled. We still haven't spent this huge amount of gold, which we were making while enemy was, our team was not able to make a play. And again, like here is a moment where we should have had recalled already. So this is really bad. So
Yep.
this when we are fighting with a lot of gold, this is a huge mistake.
Yep.
We don't want to be doing this ever. So the
Yep.
way to kind of like reduce the chance of this happening is to again find a recall timer when there's a downtime in the game. And the downtime in the
Mhm.
game was when we were here. So this is downtime in the game. Team is recalling. We are not able to fight anything. Okay, we get some money. Again, this would be a really good time. So again, like this is a downtime because now our team is coming out of base. Now they are ready to fight, and you want to be ready to fight with them. So this is a really important thing here.
Yep. Yeah. That's. Yeah, I can see that now. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure if
think.
you play like if you've ever played Overwatch, for example. In Overwatch, we talk a lot about staggering the team. Like when some guy just stays and kind of like fights here, and then like he spawns so much later than everyone else, and then it's like, oh no, now we can't do anything. That's basically the same in League, but it's more kind of
Okay.
like hidden in this game.
So I think that then when the transition happens into late game, I need to start looking a lot more on my teammates, what they are
Yep.
doing, where they are, and react to that. Because yeah,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
this is a bad fight because Annie has no health, Pantheon has no health, and I have one full item that it's not both.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We have one full item. We don't have ult yet. Yeah, it's just.
yeah, yeah. It's
Do we
yeah,
actually lose the game of this? I think we do.
not of this one, but almost yeah. I think.
Okay. Yep.
But we lose this game. So but I can see now that this was one of the factors for sure because if I take that fight with that extra item, we probably kill them, and then we can
Yep.
go to Baron because here we cannot contest the dragon now. And yeah. Showing up in the bottom lane there was a really bad mistake.
Yep, you just didn't happen to get punished for it. For example, if you go on your gold 4 account, you probably do get punished for that.
Yeah.
Okay? So there's a big comeback potential. Let's go.
Probably
Kind of
shouldn't have.
yeah, we're kind of
Probably
lacking
shouldn't
on
have.
the inhibitors here, so that's kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate. But again, like the really important thing here, every time you kill the enemy teammate, always like every time you kill enemy, think about ways to use their dead timer. So basically the way we did on the Drake, like, okay, now I can go in bed, now I can do crazy stuff. Again, like this is the same thing. Okay, now we have freedom to do kind of stuff here. For example, we could be considering the Baron option here, but obviously your team is kind of like here again resetting and they're not really willing to come with you. But again, like we always want to utilize the enemy being dead because again, like as we talked about the unfair fight, we want to make the unfair fight. The best way to make the unfair fight is to kill the enemy. So
Yep.
again, if you do go for the Baron, for example, it's gonna be a 3v5 against the enemy team. Like that's gonna be like coming there, and it's like it's a massacre. You know, it's too many people on your team versus on their team.
I think the fear here was that we only have one tower left, and if we get like stagger at Baron, we can actually lose the base to super minions. But that's why I was coming here to cut at least this wave here.
Yep, I mean this is fine. Worry too much about it, but I'm just in general in your future games, every
Yep.
time you kill the enemy, think about ways to use their dead timer
Yep.
to your advantage. And again, to make gold, because again, there's the goal we want to we want as much gold as possible. For example, here we are really close to Rapidon as well. We probably want to get the Rapidon here.
Yep.
Yep, now we have Rapidon. Yep, awesome. Now we are recalling. So now we are in sync with our team. Now we actually, for the first time this game, we are actually in sync with our team. Do we just lose the Baron here though? But yeah. So now the Mundo is going back. So again, at this point of the game, we have to be really aware of the enemies or our teammates' positions, more so than the enemy team position. We want to be able to make sure, okay, because if you get caught here, it's 5 people coming at you and you're gonna die. And again, who's gonna able to help me? Oh shit,
Yep.
there's no one here. So that's something you always want to think about, especially at this point of the game, because you being dead, it can just cost you the game because the dead time is so long and they get Baron, stuff like that. So you know.
That's what has happened a few times in the gold 4 account that let's say dragon is up and I'm the one like checking the brushes and I have died a few times there. So yep.
Yep. So again, as I talked about with entering river, okay, every time you enter river, think of it as an aggressive option. Yeah, I think the game is. I think it was. Let's look at the team fight actually. Still a bit slower. Okay. Jesus Christ, this Mundo just flashes the no snowball.
I actually missed the ulti.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed you do here is you kind of focus so much on getting being able to hit the Nunu with the ult. I don't want you to like kind of like, okay, I have to hit the Nunu with the ult. So what I want you to do here is that we have like really fucking high AP here. We have 500 AP. What I want to look out for, I want to delete this carries. You're basically playing Assassin Diana at this point because you are so strong. So every time we kind of do enter these team fight phases, you have to think about, okay, who do I need to kill? who's the biggest target to me or my team, and what's gonna hinder their ability the most to win the team fight. It's usually gonna be the carries, not the Nunu. I don't give a fuck about stopping the Nunu's ult. I want to kill this Jinx, for example, here. I want this Yasuo jumps in here. We just jump on the backline, ult these three guys here instead. So again, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of look for the carries, especially when you're playing tank Diana. In general, like Diana, you want to ult the backline because again, it's good. It's gonna make them panic so hard because uh, they're gonna get hit for a lot of damage and stuff like that. Because you can see how this Jinx gets to free hit everyone. Like this is how
Yeah.
we lose the fight. Not because we didn't stop the Nunu, because we didn't actually stop the backliner from dealing
Mm-hmm.
all this damage. He's just literally standing still and
Yeah,
killing your
shooting.
entire team. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
something you always want to think about.
Yep.
When team fighting starts. So again, around the Baron timer, when team fighting starts. So for example, a time to think about this is something we call lull states in the game. Is that, for example, when we are dead, then we press tab and we like look at the items, look at stuff like, okay, when the team fight starts, who do I want to kill? What's gonna happen in the team fight? And stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Team
Plus,
fight start.
Jinx is a good target because she's not like I don't know Shaya that can ulti away or anything. Jinx cannot do anything. She just
Yep.
dies.
Yep,
So
she just dies. She has no
yeah,
mobility. So that's again
yeah.
what we talked about at the start of the game. Okay, zero mobility bot lane. Really easy to gank.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Let's kill them. And that's something you always have to think about the team fighter festival.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when team fighter starts, we have to think about who do we need to kill. So for example, uh, probably going to talk about a little bit about champion identity. So this is something every champion kind of has an identity. So Diana's identity for the early game, we want to play for 6, and we basically want to ult the backline. That's what we want to do. We want to ult the backline, and the champion is a diver. So we are a diver
Mm-hmm.
champion. So
Yep.
what we want to do as diver champion, we want to dive the targets who are the most prone to getting dove, and that's usually going to be the enchanters, the most uh,
Divable.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The most diveable champs in team fights, TFs, ADCs usually, mages, enchanters. Enchanters are really big. For example, Soraka really prone to getting dove, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So this is
Mm-hmm.
who we want to look out for. Or
And kind
another
of
thing.
same for Nocturne in a way too.
Yep, definitely for
Mm-hmm.
Nocturne as well. But then we can also, when we do have we have to think about the team fight dynamic as well. So let's say we are playing Diana and the enemy is playing. So this is completely hypothetical. The enemy is
Mm-hmm.
playing like, hmm, but they're playing like Set. Let's say no. Let's say Camille, Rengar, Vex, stuff like this, and then they have like let's say Jinx Lulu. So
Mm-hmm.
here, for example, we have a matchup where the enemy team also has really strong dive. They have Camille a diver, Rengar diver, Vex diver. So we can also think
Mm-hmm.
about, okay, the enemy team is going to really hard dive. So we have two options. We can either go and trade the dive and go dive the Jinx Lulu, or we can
Mm-hmm.
wait for the enemy to dive and then we can kind of like peel our team off them. So this is kind
Mm-hmm.
of the two main ideas you want to think about divers. Okay, do I go for the backline or do I help the divers of my backline?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Makes sense.
But yeah, but usually when you overhead, especially when you're playing AP Diana, we're kind of like a hybrid Diana at this point. But we're mostly AP Diana. We have 500 AP. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so here we usually want to go for the backline. We want to drive the backline because
Yep.
it's gonna make it so much easier for us to with the team fight because again, like they're the main sources of damage.
Yeah, and the Jinx insta die if I actually ulti her.
Yep. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I just. The thing is that I think it was one few games before that I actually died to Nuno doing 2K with the ulti, and I think I just didn't want that
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I mean, that's how kind of people kind of get into bad habits. They're like, oh shit, something bad happened, and then they kind of like get so like focused on that. But yeah, so here actually the target selection is the issue in this team fight, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
Target selection. So again, we can think about who we need to kill, when running out of base, for example, running out of base to
Mm-hmm.
camps, when dead, etc. The lull
Mm-hmm.
states.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So those are the moments when you want to. So this is something I also talked about with the Diamond Master Diana a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we want to use a lot of times. We want to think about how the team fight is going to go. We kind of go deeper into the team fight dynamics there in that fort review if you want to watch it. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm
basically,
definitely going to watch it. Yeah, definitely.
yep, good, great. But yep, just like target selection here, honestly. We could have
Mm-hmm.
maybe even won the team fight here because again, like this guy was all the way here. Like this is, but yeah, so target selection is just kind of bad.
So we actually lose 4 versus 5, do we?
Yep.
Oh, that's Yeah, because the Jinx were just free shooting.
Yeah, Jinx is 3 items, really strong, and also
Yeah,
this guy also dove right next to Dyna. It was just like the perfect ultimate. So again, like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I told you to be patient, but again, like, we also need to pull the trigger at some point, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, because here I was waiting, and here I could have gone on the Jinx. Yeah, just walk Q because she's not moving. Swain is there. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, the fight only goes bad because we started walking back towards the Nunu because we wanted to stop the ult. But we could just
Hmm.
walk out of the ult and ult the backline with the Yasuo. So the fight is really good up until so here we go onto the Yasuo, really good. The damage dealer, these guys are all the way here. Like we just walk down a tiny bit and we could catch them with the ult, maybe one shot them all. The fight would
Yeah,
be done. We would just win it. But yeah,
yeah,
so then we are like, oh shit, but I want to stop the Nunu, like so really important to focus on the right target. So for example, the Nunu
yeah.
has been your nemesis throughout the whole game. He's the enemy jungler. He's the one we want to kill. But at this point, it's like 5v5 dynamic. We want to think about okay, we want to think big picture kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Target selection. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so for the learning objectives from this game, what I want you to do use the most in your future games. Let's say, for example, the Herald usage here. The Herald was kind of goofy. It's only a
Mhm.
one Herald sample size, so I'm not too worried about it. But
Ah,
like, we usually don't want to drop it at full plates, for example.
yeah.
That's one for the big one. Um, and yeah, so
Ah,
the first thing I would like you to do is go for this pre-game analysis. Okay, think about the matchups. Okay,
mhm.
relax lane, double TP. I don't really want to gank them. Really hard to gank. Okay, bot lane. Okay, they have 4 range characters. Not expecting much trading, but when I get 6, for example, they have really good CC setup to enable me to gank the immobile laners, and that's
Mhm.
something I wanted to think about. Okay, kind of like come up with a game plan. Uh,
Yeah.
come up with
I
a
have to say, I usually come up with a game plan, but then it kind of like fades away
Yeah,
during the
every time.
game.
Yeah, yeah. But that's really important because the, the
Mhm.
the game just cannot be played according to the plan. Never.
Yeah.
Like the game is just too chaotic. So the most important thing is to like be able to adapt to the chaos. But like again, like we do still want to go into the game with initial plan. So for example, we
Yeah.
did have the plan of pathing towards bot side. That was really good. But again, I would like to utilize more so ganking the bot lane because again we have the CC setup, we have the stuff. Yeah, come with a game plan. Look to utilize also a big thing for this level 6. Level 6 junglers look to utilize um, level 6 gank on bot before they get 6. So this is really good uh, for level 6 junglers because again they don't have level 6 yet, and then you can maybe
Mhm.
use the gank to get the Drake or stuff like that. So that's something I would definitely want you to kind of like use this kind of cheese. Like, okay, I'm level 6, the enemy bot lane isn't level 6 yet. Okay, I want to go make a play, stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, if I show you a Nocturne replay, you would see that I'm constantly pinging my ulti timer,
Good, awesome,
so
yep,
people are aware that I am in 20 seconds. I'm coming, so just get ready.
awesome, good, yep. And also one more thing,
Mhm.
over that here with the main learning objectives. Okay, every time enemy jungler makes a play, look to make a play elsewhere, or look for
Mhm.
options to make plays. Look for options to make a play elsewhere. This is really important.
Mhm.
This is what we talk about when you talk about jungle tempo. Is that, for example, the Nunu ganks top, or the Nunu. Let's say the Nunu dies here. So let's say
Mhm.
Nunu is out of the game. He has to recall. So now we have tempo on the top side. We have tempo on the mid. So basically, we are able to get here before the Nunu is able to get there because he's delayed. That's what
Yep.
we call when we talk about tempo in the jungle, and that's a term you will run into a lot when you if you
Yep.
watch any jungle content and stuff like that. So basically, the way we want to utilize tempo ourselves is okay. The enemy makes a play. The enemy makes a play up top. We want to okay again like okay this guy's taking this. What we want to do, we can either match him to the top side, look for the counter gank, or we can go bot, stuff like that. So again, like
Mhm.
that's something you want to do. So every time the enemy jungler makes a play, look for options to make a play elsewhere. So for example, here I'm like, okay, he's showing towards top side. I would be looking top. Okay, does he have a play here? Not okay. And then I would be looking bot. Do I have a play there? So that's basically the
Mhm.
mindset I want you to get into. Like every time the enemy jungler shows, I want to be thinking about okay, how can I use this for my advantage?
Mhm. Yep.
But yep, those are pretty much the main learning objectives I'm going to give
Mhm.
you, and that's something I want you to kind of utilize in your future games. But so far, this game has been really good. Uh, yeah, also the early game
Well,
stuff was really good. I like that a
okay.
lot, a lot of the early
Well,
game stuff.
so I have to say that usually I play like this, so it's becoming a bit frustrating that it's not translating into results. And I think it's this transition to late game where I am not in sync with my team. So I'm going to
Oh
add
yeah,
that
that's
to
a big one
myself.
as
That
well.
yeah,
That's a big one as well.
I need to play. I need to play with them.
Yep.
Because
Being
yeah,
strong with your team, yeah,
yep,
especially after parent spawn, post parent spawn. So this is really important
yep,
because again, like when you do die at the 20-minute mark, it just makes it so much easier for the enemy team to capitalize on your death because the baron is up. The baron is the biggest objective in the game. It's the game ending objective pretty much.
yep.
Yep. So that's really big, for example. Yep. Yeah. So those would be the main things. Do you have any questions?
No. So from what you are saying, there is nothing, let's say, fundamentally wrong in my gameplay. Just need to improve, obviously, but there is no. I can understand what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just that I need to do it better, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's exactly it. It's all about the fundamentals, and you do understand
Hmm.
the fundamentals. But again, like we have to constantly be building upon them. For example,
Yep.
all the stuff we talked about, it's fundamental stuff. It's a basic stuff. There's nothing like sexy, really. There's nothing like
Hmm.
insane. Oh, this challenge and strategy will get you to rank up. It's just basics down to better stuff. So, for example, let's say the way I want you to think about improving at league is that we want to focus on the improvement because even if it doesn't like instantly uh, result in LP and like improvement in the ladder, it's gonna in like let's say 3 months time. You just keep focusing on getting better and like improving. You are gonna climb up. Like it's just guaranteed. There's no chance that you will stay, let's say silver 4 if you do keep improving. If you do keep working on this stuff here we talked about. For example, the target selection here, really important stuff. That's something we always have to consider when we do arrive to the late game scenario
Hmm.
and stuff like okay we have really strong CC setup, for example. That's something we came up at the start of the game, but then we kind of forgot about it. We didn't really use
Yeah.
that fact at the later of the game. So that's really basic stuff. We just have to keep that on top of the mind. That's how we want to utilize it.
Yep. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. That was extremely useful and interesting. So
Yep.
thank you very much. You will post the notes, yeah, in the
Yeah, I'm
session
gonna
chat.
post you these notes right now. I'm gonna upload this VOD to YouTube. But what I want you to do with the VOD is I want you to watch it over.
Yep.
Watch it over again because it's a lot of information. It's like one hour of like beamlining
Hmm.
information. So to make sure something actually sticks, just like watch it over again.
Yep. Yep. No, definitely. One thing also, I want to protect the greedy laners that I really want to get away when they have no health. I want to think about that. So,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, that's
Thank.
definitely really big.
Yeah.
What is it? Linear behavior 101. They will never
Yep.
recall before they push the web. Yeah.
Yep.
Really good
Yep.
stuff. Yep.
Yep. Thank you. That was great. So, thank you
Yep.
very much.
Thank you for bringing the
Yep.
review and I hope you wish you luck.
Yep. Thank you. Let's be in touch then. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
Bye.